Alrighty, well, happy Sunday, happy Mother's Day. And I am going to be taking you guys through the process that took me about 8 hours, all said and done. It's actually still in process of how I created the thumbnail for my About page on School. And so me and my business partner are actually sending people directly to the About page from ads. So this About page is determining whether they buy or not. And this isn't even the first slide. The first slide is the VSL, which is a video, and that's the most important part, obviously, because that's what they're watching first. That's where we put, all the emotion and everything. But this is going to be one of the second slides. And so it literally lays out everything that's inside the course. And it's really important because it's presenting what the actual content of the course is. And every single slide on your About page is extremely important. The copy in your description is very important. A lot of the copy in our description is similar to what is on this thumbnail, but people just tend to look at pictures more. So regardless though, you want both of those things to be really good. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. It's crazy how much time literally I don't think I'd ever spent this much time designing something. Okay. Okay, so we modeled this after Max Premium. If you guys know Max's About page, he has a offer stack, kind of similar, not really. It looks way better, but this is his. And so we looked at that and we got some inspiration just from the way that he laid that out. And we were like, okay, let's go and like find some of the materials we have and lay that out. And this was the first version. We did pink. We just did a bunch of screenshots. This is all me. And then just text on the screen here, laying out like the bullet points of what's included. We did like the 18 grand worth of value for 119 and wrote all that out. And it just wasn't quite right. So our next one is this one, where the main difference you'll see is how we laid out these pictures. So we're like, okay, let's make this a little more professional. People are really going to like, they're not going to necessarily notice all of these subtle differences you're going to see on the slides, but subconsciously they're taking that in. And it's a part of their analysis of, is this a professional group of people? So we put them into frames on Canva, which is pretty easy. And there is still quite a bit missing. Okay, so this is the second one. I'm going to go back so you guys can see the difference. So there's that one, this one. The only difference is the graphic right here. You're going to notice this, nothing is to scale. The phone is massive. It's the same size as the monitor, which is the same size as the laptop, which is the same size as the iPad. And then there's an iPad that's smaller than the phone. It's like, it's a mess. So here, everything is sized more proportionally. This phone's still big, but it's more proportional. And we wanted to have this almost like a pyramid kind of effect. So that was kind of there, kind of not. We still got the text is everything on there is the same. Okay, now we change the color. That's pretty much the only difference here because this was just like a little bit too intense. Red is not a great color for making sales, and this was feeling a little too close to red. So we changed it to blue. And you'll notice also the graphic got moved to the side a little. It's slightly smaller and moved to the side. And then here, the graphic is significantly smaller. This is smaller, and you'll notice the copy is different. Actually, the copy is different on all three of these. So we went from get instant access to 18,799 of value for just 119 a month. And then it says get 18 grand worth of courses and training. So we took the 119 a month out, and it was just too long. That's why. It was like looking at it, what is really necessary information here? They already can see the price if they go to the join now button. So they don't need the price on this screen also. Sometimes it can have a little bit more of a shocking effect. Max did that, but we're trying to simplify this page as much as possible. And you really have to think about where do you want their focus to be. So we want to put their focus onto the bullet points. So we made the bullet points bigger. We made this copy here shorter, and this is also going to be smaller. So now this goes across the headline. This is still pretty big, but it's a lot smaller. And then this is all the same. I think actually we may have changed this first bullet point. Personalized lifestyle setup guide to cure procrastination. No, that's the same. Okay. So next slide. You're going to notice there's no phone up here. Everything is just condensed a little bit more. This is a lot bigger though. Get 18 grand worth of courses. There's these little bars, these little luminescent kind of glowing bars that are separating the text from everything else, but it's also a lot shorter. So the productivity lifestyle setup was moved to second place and also seriously condensed. So it's only 3 words now. One-on-one strategy call was condensed. So you can see all of that. It's even different bullet points. We're focusing on the live meetups now, which wasn't in the original one. So that changed a lot. And that was just because we're trying to make sure every single word on this page deserves its place. Every single word on this page needs to have a purpose, and every single image on this page needs to have a purpose. We also added a join, a $119 a month button, which you're going to see in the next slide. We took it off because it just wasn't necessary. We made this bigger because that's where the focus should be. There, we continued to refine what is actually on the bullet points. And again, this is looking a little different. So we moved some things around as far as like what really had a place there. We moved this on top, we switched to mastermind calls, and there's still a lot going on here. Next slide. This is pretty much the same. You're gonna notice the headline is really different, and there's also no bars here. So this is just a test where like, does it look better without them? Does it look better with them? Simplifying it as much as possible is key. You don't want to distract people with like really fancy, nice designs and cool little swirly things when the goal is to make a sale. We're not selling people on design for this course. We're selling people on a cure for procrastination. So the goal is not to show them a bunch of confusing designs. The goal is to just design something that gets the message across. Okay. The next one, we changed this bar, testing again to a light color with the black text. So it still says the same thing, except we eliminated training. So you see how this is courses and training, kind of long, and honestly, self-explanatory. So we just did courses. Usually courses come with training. So we also changed the font. So you're going to notice this font is kind of hard to read. We changed that. We made it bigger. We even condensed it a little bit, and we've got the bars here still. And this is slightly different. We just moved stuff together more. So this is in the exact same place, but these 2 phones move down a little bit, just out of the way. Everything just gets a little more condensed. Okay, so moving down again. Oh wait, did I go through? Yeah, I went through 3. But yeah, this one, everything is a little more condensed. So now we decided to try and bring some text back in to see if with the new layout, if it was more hard hitting. And so it's the 18 grand worth of courses for only 119. And that just was not doing it. Like, look how thick this bar is. It's just, it looks messy. It's underlapping this graphic here. Strategy calls are fine, but like, honestly, it's kind of drawing away from like all of this, all these bullet points. It's like drawing away from those. So next, we got rid of the bar entirely, made this bigger, put a little gray square behind this just to kind of contrast to the rest of the screen, and made this significantly smaller. So you can see it goes from this, which is just like crazy, to this very small, very simple, almost too simple. So there's just like nothing going on here. There's not even anything highlighting up here, but the trade-off was we just made the text bigger. So then this next one, this is one of the better ones. We made this text a lot bigger, and it's a different font, if you can tell. Different font for both things. So in this one, this gets a little bit bigger again. We've got the black text on the light background. We've got a blue background, and we've got this significantly bigger. Still looks kind of messy. So the final version, we cleaned it up a little bit. We made this text smaller, but not so small that you're not appreciating it. And then we made this is very similar. It's just on the dark background again with it's navy blue instead of black. And this is about the same, but a little bit smaller, but we made sure to keep the important stuff big. So that's the final one that we landed on. And we're actually still rearranging the graphics slightly because we want it to be centered. This is pretty centered, but there's a couple things like here, this is a little higher than that one. So we're nailing down some of the graphics and making sure everything on this stack is like crucial and important, because we don't want to be advertising things in the course if it's not going to be really cool. So these are some of the things that we made tweaks on and we really refined to make sure this graphic was going to look good and going to convey a message that made people want to buy. And so you can look at this now, and going back to the original one we started, we were modeling Max. There is a lot of similarities, but there's also a lot of differences. So we did kind of use some of his style when it comes to the top, but we got rid of there was like a small bar up there at one point. So we got rid of that. And then so this is the second to last one. This is not actually the one we landed on, but you'll notice this is smaller. We fixed some things, centered it, made this smaller again compared to that. Like, wow. Simple black background, dark navy headline, but it was still missing something. And we took a look at Max's again. We're not trying to copy Max. We're trying to do better than him. So we're looking at this. We're like, okay, what else can we add here? And this is what our final slide wound up looking like. We put a headline. We made this actually just on the black background, but otherwise everything's the same. This is very simplified. We got rid of the extra phone down here. We made it like centered and look good. And see how this one's kind of falling off the page? That just wasn't, it didn't look clean. It didn't look good. It didn't look intentional. So we made that much smaller. And then we also added a testimonial page, but that's kind of irrelevant to this because we're just talking about these edits. But yeah, so this is the final product, and it's actually like not even necessarily what we're going to stay with long term, but it's the best out of all of that work. About 8 hours of like going through and editing, and just researching what was working for other people, studying the people winning the school games. It's a lot of fun. But yeah, it's a lot of work going through and like making sure a design is exactly what you want it to be. And like that is so, it's so crucial, and people will just sometimes take the first or the second draft and put that up. But like those little tweaks, those little things that can make your page either look gimmicky or look legit or look valuable or look invaluable, those are the crucial things, because thousands of people are coming to your page and they may never talk to you before making a buying decision. They may make that decision solely off the quality of your page. And if your page looks good and it represents your personality and it represents your brand and the value you deliver, they're going to buy. But if your page is trying to, be funny or be quirky in some way that you're not, or, it's not emphasizing the best parts of your community, or maybe it's copying somebody else, it's not going to look good. So we had to take inspiration from all these different successful school pages and figure out why they all were working, and then create something that was our own. We put a lot of time into making this good, and it's funny because like it's not even done. But yeah, I think it's a really fun thing to play with. We've got some other slides. Obviously, our main thing is the VSL, which is 7 minutes and 20 or 7 minutes and 20 seconds. Then we've got kind of a breakdown of what's in here. And this page, we haven't even started editing. So this is going to be another 8-hour project, because this was just the first draft that we had to put up. Then there's this one, looks phenomenal. Oh, no, don't want to delete that. And then there's the testimonials, which we just whipped those up yesterday. But this one is actually first. That's the one that we put the most time into. Our about page, we put a lot of time into the about page as well. But yeah, it's been a lot of fun just designing that. I think it's a really valuable lesson just to see how much work goes into successful pages. A lot of people will pay thousands and thousands of dollars to make that, make their page stand out, pay someone to design it, pay someone to design a logo. I know people that have spent like 30 grand designing a logo, and that's insane, but that's what every customer now associates with their brand. And so one other thing we did, actually, I'm going to share my screen again really quick. We were researching other brands. So we researched like what was Apple using, what was their design like. We were just like looking at the aesthetics. How does a brand make their website look elite? How do they make it look high end? What are their designs? What are they, using for their fonts? What is everything, flow? What's the color scheme? How do they, make everything synchronize? And I noticed like Apple doesn't do a lot of like hard lines or hard dividers. They do light colors. there's no lines. There's just like different shades of grays and whites, and they do little icons, but everything is very just clean. This is like the only line I've seen. This little like circle here. But yeah, very simple. So that's a good tip, is just to go and research brands that do it really well. And clearly Apple is doing it very well. But yeah, it's a lot of fun to design and learn design. And I'm nowhere near like the level of Apple, but it's a lot of fun just like being a part of the learning process. Also, we've got Schooler merch. That's going to be giveaways for people at the top of the leaderboard. We're going to be giving away merch. I've got a baseball cap here too. So that's going to be fun. Once a month, whoever's at the top of the leaderboard is going to receive a gift. So yeah, that's going to be really exciting. But I hope that was helpful. If you guys have any questions, feel free to shoot me a message and we can go over it. If you are designing your own about page, I am so down to help you. So definitely don't hesitate to ask any questions. But enjoy your Mother's Day, and I hope that was a helpful little walkthrough.